Here's the test that, believe it or not, kept me up last night. I have the new Hurricane engine and I have the legendary Hemi. I borrowed these trucks from Larry H. Miller, Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah. They're both available for sale. Let's go ahead and drive the inline 6 first. All right, so we're gonna drive, as I said, the inline 6 first. Let me go ahead and reset the fuel mileage too, so we can have an apples to apples run. So we'll do it at the exact same spots. Let's go. So I'll just do a quick city drive here. One thing you don't hear, one thing that you do miss, is that burly V8 sound. It's like they're trying to take the masculinity out of America. I swear they're trying to do that. But it's okay. At least the truck has a lot of horsepower, right? That's what we can definitely be happy about. It has a lot of power. And it's definitely smooth. I almost want to say, golly, I almost wonder if with the inline 6 power delivery, is it a little bit smoother compared to the burly V8? It feels already smoother right out of the gate. I can't wait to drive that Hemi right after this one, because for sure I can clearly tell it's smoother. Now, you don't hear any turbo whistles. No turbo whistles coming out of the engine. And it's definitely quieter. There's not a lot of vibration. Sometimes with the V8 you can kind of feel a little bit, just a little bit, a hint of vibrations from that engine. And that's probably because of it being in V formation, and they use harmonic balancers, things like that, because it's not as balanced as this inline 6 is. But I haven't seen the stop start come on. I'm not going to disable it either. It just came on, actually, speaking of the devil. But where you're going to get the best benefit with this engine is in the city. If you can stay out of that turbo, oh my goodness, that's where the fuel economy is going to really, really soar in this truck. But let's see if I can do the 0 to 60 here. I might try to here in a second. It looks like I can, so let's go ahead and switch over cameras. I'm going to show you guys this truck with 0 to 60. So here is the Hemi replacement, the 3-liter Hurricane twin turboed inline 6. It's going to have 420 horsepower and 469 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed transmission, 355 rear end. Let's see how it accelerates. Here we go.
30, 60.
I don't really need to see the 0 to 60 for the Hemi. Oh snap. Oh snap. Yeah. No excuses, but I'm going to make an excuse. No excuses. I am upset with the manufacturers. Here's why. When was the last time there's been any innovation with naturally aspirated gas engines? Please tell me, when was the last time? I'm not talking about hybrids, because that is one of them, but when have they found some new technologies, or have they done some new engineering to make the engines more efficient? I mean, granted, I guess the deactivation of the cylinder, because the Ram does have the MDS with that Hemi, and that's kind of the negatives though. Man, that sucks. And of course the stop-start function, which both trucks can benefit from, but they could have been doing some things to make these engines more efficient and have more horsepower and torque at the same time. But unfortunately they haven't done that, and that's why we're in this predicament right now, right? A lot of people are looking to go to these twin turbo engines. There's just no soul. Like when I just accelerated, I almost forgot if this was a EV or an actual internal combustion engine. It's so quiet, it's so smooth, it's very forgiving, and the boost, I think it comes on around 22 psi on this engine. On the high output is a little bit higher, but there's just no soul. And I think that's where a lot of people are going to really miss about the Hemi. Like the Hemi just had more soul. I mean, if you put exhaust in that truck, it would sound burly. On this one, it's going to sound different. It's going to sound different. But let's go ahead and hit the brakes. Let's see if there's been any changes there. I doubt there has been. Yeah, they're still confident. Ram has been probably one of my favorite when it comes down to the brakes. Sometimes Ford trucks can be a little touchy, but on this one I'm not feeling that. Now really quickly, I'm going to change camera views here. I'm going to do a slight acceleration. I'm going to shut up. So 61 decibels are in the interior. It's so quiet, guys. Here. Oh my gosh. By the window, it's 64. And out back, it's 61. It's so quiet. Oh, it's terrible. It's quiet. Wow. And see, Toyota uses the sound maker on the Toyota Tundra with their twin turbo V6. I hate it. Thank you, Ram. Thank you for not putting a stupid noise device in this truck. Thank you, because I had a Volkswagen one time that I actually put an exhaust on and I stage tuned it and all that stuff. And it had that little, I can't remember, there was a name for it. And you could actually go in there and disconnect it. And that's what I did. I disconnected and I threw it away because weight savings, right? It wasn't that heavy though. But they didn't put a noise device to make this truck sound burly. And I'm glad they didn't do that. But the steering feel, it doesn't feel much lighter. I don't think you'll notice a difference in the weight. And actually this truck, yeah, you guys will see the numbers on the door here in a second. Let's actually talk about that really quickly. Here is the payload on this truck. 1,756 pounds. And take note of the gross vehicle weight rating because that might be different on the Hemi. Here is the midpoint. We've gotten 15.8, 16.2 miles driven. That's with the 0 to 60 as well. So we'll pretty much go back the opposite direction and see what we get, okay? We got to talk about the RPMs, because I really want to see what that 355 axle ratio is setting that RPM at 65 miles an hour and at 75. So not going to be able to do 75 on this road because the speed limit is only, I think, 65. So here's 65. And believe it or not, I'm actually shocked by this. We're about, let's call that 1,800 RPMs at 65 miles an hour. Transmission is smooth, guys. Man, I am really shocked. It's pretty smooth with the Hemi, so we'll be able to see that too. But yeah, at 60, let me get back up to 65 again. Yeah, we're just under 1,800 RPMs now. So we're like at 1,700 RPMs with that 355 axle ratio. Now you can get a 392 for max tow on this truck. So I would venture to say, and I normally don't say this, but I would skip it. I would never get the 392 on a half ton just because I don't really see a lot of people benefiting. If it was the Hemi, I would, and the only reason why is because it's naturally aspirated. And you lose 3% of your horsepower every 1,000 feet you go up. So on this truck, I think with the amount of torque you have, with the amount of horsepower you have, I think you would be fine with the 355 and you can benefit from the fuel economy. So getting a 392 might be a waste with the 8-speed on this truck. And I don't normally say that. But with this turbocharged engine, I think that I would skip it. And it's a half ton. If it was a HD, I'd probably just get it. But if you want to run taller tires, you might want to go with the 392 because a taller tire does change that gearing out back. So just keep that in mind as well. Here is 70 miles an hour, so we're just under 2,000. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to 75 here. Oh wow, a little bit of torque right there when I just accelerated. I'm only like 20% down. So we're just under 2,000 still at 75. So figure at 80 miles an hour, we'll be right at that mark there, 2,000. That's pretty good. So if you're at 55, 60 miles an hour, you're gonna be right at 1,500. I mean, that's really good. Now, lastly, I gotta show you guys the temperatures, right? We gotta go over that. So coolant's at 199, 201. Transmission's at 138, that's pretty good. Normally the 8 HP 75 8-speed transmission runs a little bit harder than that. And then that is the, what's the other one? The top one's the coolant. Second one's transmission. That must be the oil. So yeah, 199 for the oil. Okay. We've made it back. And we'll just stop right next to this Grand Cherokee here. 18.3 MPG, 13.2 miles driven, and the stop start works great. Let's go ahead and drive the Hemi. Now we're driving the Hemi. I'm gonna go ahead and get to the stop sign, reset the trip, and then we're gonna get down the road. As I already said to you guys, there's just so much more soul with this truck. I can just tell you now. So much more soul. And that's because you just have more cylinders. There truly is no replacement for displacement. That's very true. Unless you're talking about Cummins. Then that doesn't apply. Because, well, I guess the displacement is big. I guess, you know, that still works, so yes. But right out of the gate, the first thing you're already gonna hear and feel is the vibrations, the noise, and it sounds so good too. You cannot deny a Hemi. I think a Hemi, whether it be a Challenger, a Ram, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, they all sound so good with this 8-cylinder engine. And yeah, the transmission feels, I can feel the shift's actually a little bit more interesting. That's pretty interesting. I would like to hear other people's point of view on that. Like if you are looking to switch from the Hemi to the inline 6, yeah, I can feel the transmission. I mean, or maybe I'm just feeling that low end torque. That's what I'm feeling actually. I'm feeling that low end torque. See, with that turbocharger, that power delivery is a little bit smoother. But with this one, I mean, this has the 321 rear end, so the RPM's are a little bit lower too. But yeah, I see the eco light on. You know what that means? We're on 4 cylinders right now. Now, a lot of people said that it doesn't affect the cams and the oil getting to those side of the cylinders, but I don't know. Everyone has their own theory on it. But let's go ahead and check and see if I can do the 0 to 60. I actually have to do it because I want to do it in the same spot, obviously, right? By the way, you guys gotta subscribe to my channel because I literally have to get stared at by everybody with this camera on front of the truck. Like, people think I'm weird. I think they do. And when I drive by people, I can see them like looking up at it. They don't know what it is. It's like a UFO or something. But let's go ahead and set up. We'll talk about the performance and then we'll do the 0 to 60 run. They used to say there's no replacement for displacement, but unfortunately, that's a lie. Everybody's going woke. 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed transmission. It's actually the same one in that truck, and this one has a 321 rear end. Let's see how it performs.
$30. $60.
I'm very shocked. I'm very shocked. Now, I'm sure you guys heard that wheel spin. I didn't have any wheel spin with the inline 6 Hurricane. And that's pretty typical. When you have a V8, you just have more low-end grunt. And yeah, the transmission's smooth, just like the new engine. I do think that Ram should have ran the 5.7 for maybe a year. I said the same thing with Toyota. Like, they should have never killed off that 5.7 from Toyota. They should have put that 10-speed behind it. But you can definitely tell more vibration from the engine easily. It's definitely louder in here. Like, the other truck was smooth. That's what you're going to notice going from the Hemi to the inline 6. You might actually like it better. I can see more people wanting that inline 6 over this gas V8. I just can tell. I already can tell that people are going to be jumping to that engine. And it makes sense. You have more horsepower, more torque, and you're going to get better fuel economy on the highway for sure. And you don't have to worry about the MDS. The cylinder deactivation, even though people have told me it doesn't really affect it, I feel like it does. I don't know. I think that everyone has their opinion about it. A lot of people were getting tunes to disable the system in their trucks because they just didn't want that starvation of oil on the sides of the cylinders that were deactivated, right? So let's go ahead and switch over here in a second. I want to show you guys the sound leveler here, but I have to get up to speed here. I want to get to about 20% throttle like I did with the gas engine, the inline 6 that is. So here we go. It's 20%. Actually, I mean, it's 63. $64. $62 out back. It's a little bit louder, but it's not like a lot louder. I guess the inline six is just so quiet. Like, I can hear the engine right now. I can clearly hear that engine. And if I were to put, let me put it in cruise control here. I want to put it in cruise and see what happens. So it's accelerating a little bit. And that's the thing, when you're accelerating, when I did that 0 to 60 run, it's loud. Like, you can clearly hear the engine. And that's why I said, a few people are going to prefer that inline six, because a lot of people don't really care about having a burly V8. Like, I like the sound. If I were to get a half ton, I probably would put a catback exhaust in this truck. I think I would. You know, I would definitely want it to have a option to be able to be quiet too, but I would like to have a little bit more noise coming from the back of this truck. But it's not dropping down to the 4 cylinders yet. I wanted to see if that might quiet it up a little bit, but it hasn't done so yet. But yeah, you can definitely feel the engine more so. There's vibrations, and you can hear it more so too. So it's not a lot louder, it's not a lot more vibrations, but you can tell when you drive them back to back. So unfortunately, guys, it is what it is. It seems like the inline six makes sense in our society today. Men aren't as masculine anymore, right? So I think some men are probably wearing lipstick right now as we speak. So I shouldn't say that. I might get a strike for saying something like that. I don't know. I gotta be careful. But yeah, we're at the midpoint. Let's go ahead and see where we are. We just got off, and you guys see that eco right there? That's when you know that you're only running on 4 cylinders. So 15 and a half. I can't remember where we were for the inline six, and actually we didn't catch the light, guys. We did not catch the light. So this is actually a little bit better. So this probably might get really close. Now, I didn't catch a light at the end of this road here, so if I catch that light, I'll have to let you guys know, because then it might be apples to apples again. But I gotta get up to 70 miles an hour, and I'll show you guys the RPMs here in a second. Do you guys see that? At 65 miles an hour, we're at 1,500 RPMs. When we get up to the highway, when I show you guys at 75 and 80 miles, I might even show you at 80 miles an hour with this truck, I don't know. That's the benefit of having the higher gearing out back versus the lower gearing. So on this truck, if you plan on towing, especially 5,000 feet above elevation like I am, I would 100% go to the 392. Now at that 392, you're going to be running at probably another 200 RPMs in that ballpark. Probably not that high. It probably might be maybe 100, 150, I don't know. But yeah, it would be a little bit higher. So here's where we came to a complete stop at. Like I said, this is definitely apples to apples, because I went right through this light with the inline six. Both trucks do have the same gross fuel weight rating, and the payload is slightly lower, probably because of the inline six, because this one has 18s. Do you guys see the RPMs? We're at 75 miles an hour, and we're just under 1,800 RPMs, versus with the inline six with the 355, we were just at 2,000 RPM. So that's the benefit of that higher gearing out back. Now you guys see the temperatures? 208. Transmission runs hotter in this truck, by the way. Isn't that interesting? That is very interesting. At the same point is where I showed you guys with the inline six. And with this truck, the transmission runs warmer. Interesting with the Hemi. That is very interesting. I am shocked. And you guys see the oil, right? Oil temperature runs hotter. So the cooling in that new turbocharged engine is really good. If you didn't watch my last video, I went through some of the specs. I'll put that video at the end of this one. You definitely want to watch it, because the cooling on that engine is definitely legendary, guys, for sure. Just pull back in. Here's the Jeep, and there it is. 18 MPG. By the way, the stop start works great because of the e-torque system, which gives this truck like supplemental power, and I think it has like a small battery pack too. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are shocked by how close the Hemi was compared to the inline 6. Now, if I were to redo this test without that 0 to 80 run that I did, the inline 6 probably got maybe 1 to 1.5 MPG better, but under load, like I just did, these turbocharged engines get worse. And when you first get one, you're gonna love that power surge. So you're gonna get worse fuel economy right out of the gate. Now, once you figure out how bad your fuel economy is, you're gonna probably lay off a little bit and you'll start getting better. But that's the beauty of an inline 6 is on the highway, you're gonna get the best benefit. But in the city, you're probably gonna get about the same as a V8, if not worse. But let's just face it, the inline 6 was better. The performance 0 to 60 is way better. And I think that most people are going to benefit with this truck in higher elevations, because if we were at a lower elevation, like maybe at sea level, I probably would have knocked off another second maybe. So hope the video was helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I got more videos coming. I'm going to put this up against the EcoBoost at some point, but I can't drive this truck down right now simply because they don't have a lot of inventory here. So I want to wait till they get more, and then maybe we can do some more drive tests. See you guys soon.